What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar with C-Zar Gets Crypto, and we're gonna look at Bitcoin today. We're looking at Bitcoin. Oops, I did not mean to pull up Alexa. All right. Anyways, so if we're looking at it on the 1 hour here, looks like we had some bullish divergence showing. Yeah, a little bit of this, a little bit of that on this 1 hour in the oversold. That's classic. That's like true bullish divergence in my opinion. Maybe not, I guess. This right here, low, higher low, from here to here, yes, but this whole drive, not so much. Anyways, it played out really nice. I mean, Bitcoin's not making dramatic moves, guys. This really isn't actually much. We're getting excited over very small potatoes here, 3%, 3.4%, but for what has been in the past like quarter of a year, it's nice. It's nice to see Bitcoin come alive a little bit. I don't think that it's going to fully bounce back and recover from this candle. I do think that this looks like, we had a base here. I'll kind of show you the timeline of this, right? We kind of, let's see. Maybe with this closing candle here, we had a base here. We wicked below it, sure, but we held it. Held it through the test of time. Closed below it here, had a big wick down. Closed below it, kind of disrespected the hell out of it. Looked like we were going to go above it again, but then I feel like this was the final. We set a new base. Set a new base here, and this just broke right through it. And if anything, we might be testing resistance, previous areas of support. And it might go a little higher than that even. Like maybe it's up to here, or like at the bottom where these are. Maybe we go up to 26.5. Maybe we go up to 26.4. I don't know. Maybe it turns around here, but I'm not expecting this candle or this momentum to the downside to stop. I do think it's just getting started. Rejecting the 50 twice like this, coming above it for false hope and then breaking below it, like this is never ended well for Bitcoin or most assets. It's and that, I would say most of the times, anything can happen, but I'm definitely bearish right now. And as I said yesterday, I'm not cautiously bearish. I feel like realistically, truthfully, honestly, looking at the charts, I am bearish. And on this fib here, this most recent low to high, we are rejecting the 886 right now. We blasted right through the 618. We had a little bit of support, little from 618 to the 382, and then now down. We haven't quite hit the 1272. Coming back up and finding resistance on the 886 here, or even the 786, isn't uncommon, and then we can look at making moves down into the 1272 or the 1618. And that would kind of make sense. This whole area, if we go from the start of the extensions here to the 1886, maybe like the most obvious extensions. I'm going to take this line away up here. This is like the top range here, It's kind of this little area where we might find support. That makes sense, but I don't expect it to be long-lived support. I don't expect, we'll move down. We're going to move down and then have another month of sideways. I don't really expect it to be, maybe it could be this long. I don't know. Maybe we do move down and we do have a little bit of sideways, but I'm kind of expecting we're going to have a really big move right now to the downside. So if we do find support here, it'll be short-lived. We'll probably come back up to test resistance at previous areas of support and then turn around. But that's all speculation right now. I just went on a little tangent there. Looking at everything else, we are not below the 50 on this RSI, so that's okay. We are below the purple line on price, and we're looking like, amidst the fibs and everything, looking like we want to test this as a previous area of support now as resistance too. And we've done that before on the crossings. That'll give this RSI time, because price will hang out down here. That'll give this RSI time to get below the 50 probably, as long as prices don't go back up. To me, this daily short-term RSI, it really looks like it wants to go into the oversold zone. It hasn't been there in quite some time. We were in the overbought zone, back in April, but we've been kind of neutral more or less with a bearish tilt since April, since the beginning of May, and I think this wants to go into the oversold zone before we get any kind of significant like lagging behavior that's not just simply directional to the downside. I would think we're going to go into the oversold zone, That's normally whenever you get these kind of like bottoming areas, right? You look at this and you've got oversold, and you hang out near the oversold. You even dip back into it a little bit here, but you form a double bottom. You're really just moving sideways, and you move sideways for quite some time afterwards. Here at the top, right, you're in the overbought. You got into the overbought. Yes, you went higher for a little bit. You went higher, but really, compared to this first initial move up here, where it was just straight up, you moved kind of sideways after. You know what I mean? And you did come back down overall. Even if you sold near the beginning, I guess if you sold as soon as you got into the oversold zone, you would have missed out a lot, that's never a good thing to do. Just because you're oversold or overbought does not mean you should sell. Now this time we were overbought, and it would have been a perfect time to buy. Would have been that's an example of where yes, that it does work out. But there's other things at play here. Price is above the purple line. The purple line is starting to bend upwards. We bounced right off the purple line. Like, maybe you wouldn't have bought right at the purple line. Maybe you would have if you want to play it that way. That purple line is the 123 MA, by the way. But you could have bought somewhere down here. It's these are daily candles, so you had at least 2 days to buy down here, and you could have caught the pump. Anyways, main thing that I'm trying to say is we haven't been oversold or overbought for a while. You can see here when we weren't really oversold. We went a little bit, I guess, here and a little bit over here, but we were pretty sideways for most of the time, and we didn't really get, extremes like this. I do think we are going to get an extreme, and with that comes a drop, a big drop. Something like what we saw back here, or here even, anytime that we've gone oversold, it comes with, let's just look at the last few iterations just for example. So the biggest candle here when we went oversold was 6%. This one here when we were oversold, that was 14% to the downside. Oversold here 6%, again 10%, so 6, 6, 10, 14. Oversold here, this one was 15%. You can get some big candles, double-digit candles for sure. And we did just see a 5.09% candle yesterday, and that's the second biggest candle we've seen since this one here. This one is since March. So since March, we've only had one that was bigger than that, and that was this one to the downside. The biggest candles since we've been up here to the downside, and we're not in the oversold zone yet. We're showing weak readings, but once we get into the oversold zone, I really do expect Bitcoin's going to have a bigger candle. And if this is what it's showing right now without even being in strong areas of bearish control, which it technically is right now at the moment, but it can get worse. I might expect a double digit candle to happen in a day. It could be today. It could be in the next 7 hours and 40 minutes. It could be in a week. I really do think that it probably, maybe by the end of this week we might see that, honestly. With how things are going, it wouldn't surprise me. If not the beginning of next week, but, I called for a 20% drop from top to bottom within 2 weeks of this top. I called it on this Monday, actually, from 2 weeks from that Monday. So I think if we get it before this upcoming Monday, then I'll be right on my call there. So that's, maybe that's why I want to see it drop 10% the coming days. But I really do think with the way, that little bet to myself aside, I do think that it looks like we're going to drop here pretty soon. And this is what they look like. That's what going through all this was. That's what it looks like when you get into this oversold zone. When you literally can't even get, look, the highest reading we got. If we pull up this RSI and just analyze it, right? So let's put a vertical line here at the start, right? We'll put a vertical line kind of in the middle, I guess. I don't know, maybe at the top. Let's put a vertical line at the top. Start, top, and well, I think this is the finish. I think we're getting out of it now. In the beginning of it, coming into these highs, we showed some strength. We got to the top over here, we were showing strength, but after that, we literally barely here got above the 60, but we couldn't even get into bullish control. While all this time, we were going back and forth in the 50, but we undeniably since the top, spent more time under the 50, we had more time at lower readings too, toward the oversold areas than we were to the overbought. I really think that comparing the coming move to what we've seen for the better part of a quarter of a year now, I, it's going to be bigger than anything we've seen so far. And the last big candle we saw was 9.5%. I really wouldn't be surprised if by the time this move is over, and maybe it doesn't end on the big one. Maybe it does. This one ended on the big one. This one didn't end on the big one. On the way up, we didn't. The big one ended here, but we ended on a small one. It doesn't. I'm not saying it has to end on a big one, but I'm just saying before it's over, I would bet that we are going to see a daily candle that is twice as big as the one that we just saw yesterday. And maybe it doesn't happen today. Maybe it does, but that's my prediction. Yeah, so I am bearish on Bitcoin. Long story short, with all that little stuff involved. Let's look at the fibs one more time. Let's look at a little bit of a longer reach out here from bottom to top. Let's see. We are below the 236. It looks like we found resistance on the 0.069. That's never a good thing, but we're not on a weekly basis. If we hold above the 236, that could give the bulls some ground. We could still go back up to 29.5. That's not out of the cards yet. I do think on a daily time frame it looks worse than on a weekly time frame, but on the weekly time frame I'm not bullish. I'm definitely not bullish because we got a whole lot of different things going on. I'll pull out the ribbon. I pull this out almost every video now. On the weekly time frame here, okay, I guess we are above the yellow. We bounced off the ribbon at the moment. It looks like that, but there's 5 days and 8 hours left. I wouldn't get too excited yet, but I mean a bounce here would be critical because if you could get this line to cross, it would be very bullish. On the contrary to that, we did just experience a daily bearish cross, and it looks like we rejected the hell out of it. It looks like we're ready to expand. Whenever it's when it's contracted, that's when the move is just getting started, right? We went above it here when it was contracting. This was on March 23rd, March 12th, and the move didn't end upwards until April 14th, and that would make it a grand total of like 40% higher, from low to high that day, 40% higher. Anyways, I'm not saying that we're going to drop 40% from here. I actually think if you haven't seen my videos, I think from top to where we find our bottom, like our official bottom from this top, I think it's going to be less than or greater than 52% of a drop. I think it's going to be greater than 52%. At least 52% is what I'm calling for. But that's going to take months. I think a month and a half maybe actually. I think in a month and a half we're going to see prices below this low here, below 15,500. If things continue to develop bearishly, we have this cross playing out. If we keep going to the downside and we can get the weekly price below, it's taking time, below this yellow line here. If we close a weekly candle below this, that's the start. The real indicator to me would be opening a candle and closing below, right? Where here we close this candle above the yellow line, that's good. Having this one open and close above it, that was the like surefire, like there's no, something's happening here, and something did happen. And playing it that way, you can definitely be late to the party. But sometimes it's better to react to a move than have it react at you in your preconceived notions. And that's what I'm trying to base all this off of. Like my preconceived notions are that if this weekly closes below the yellow line, it's going to be bad. If we get a candle that opens and closes below, it's going to be worse. It hasn't happened yet. I'm not saying that, but I am bearishly optimistic, I guess. This cross here is really not good, man. We go back. I want to finish the video with this, I guess. The last time, I feel like I talk about this every video too. The last time we had a bearish cross on the daily was here. Can you guys see me? Yeah, you can see me. My camera just glitched out, I guess. I don't know. From top to bottom, which by the way took I think 3 weeks to the day. This is on the daily time frame. Yeah, 3 weeks to the day. 41% of a drop. And this is just on the daily cross. Okay, this is just on the daily cross. I have other reasons to believe that we're going to drop greater than 52%. And again, this wasn't from like the all-time high, right? That's not from the all-time high. That's not from this high. It's from the high that happened after the cross, okay? So from the high that happened after the cross happened back here. This was the high. From the high that happened, if we did a 41% drop, even if we did half that, let's say we did half that at 20.5, right? That would still put us down here at 22,000, even if we did half of what we did last time, right? That would put us down here, and on a weekly basis, that would put us well below the yellow line. That wouldn't be a good thing. So overall, even if this move on the daily, like the noticeable low, and then it comes up and bounces a little bit, even if the move on the daily is this big, the greater overall picture is going to be worse after a drop like that. So, you know, Bitcoin's in a precarious place. That's all I'm really trying to say. There isn't complete conviction yet. I'm very convinced that we're going lower. I am very convinced. I would bet my money and am betting my money on the fact that I believe Bitcoin's going to go below 15,500. I believe that we're going to take this low out and go lower. I even believe we're going to go below 10K, but there's nothing that's like completely there in the charts yet. There's a lot that has to happen, and there's some very key stuff that's very close to happening, but just can't seem to happen yet. You know, this daily cross was a big deal. But the next step would be definitely to secure this weekly, not cross, but to secure the bullish cross from not happening. So coming down, if you're a bear, this is what you want to see. And I'm definitely bearish. And then, you know, going back to this too, I would really, really, really like to see this weekly RSI below the 50. Right now, if we close here or anywhere around here, give or take a couple $100, this could put the bulls in a serious position to bounce off the 50, and that would actually look really good for price. You know, just a lower or a higher low, higher highs in the continuation. But, you know, there's a lot of time. There's 5 days and 8 hours before this week closes. There's a lot of time for that to happen. I am pretty bearish on the daily, so I do think we're going to go into oversold zones before we ever get above the 50 again. So before there's any significant moves to the upside, I would expect we're going to have a pretty big smash to the downside. So, you know, looking at this chart kind of convinces me more that there's nothing to worry about from a bearish perspective. If you're a bull, I would definitely be a little bit worried, but I don't know. That might be all I have for you. I wouldn't go long or short here. Personally, I'm not going long or short here. You know, if I was to go long, if I was looking to go long, and I'm not going long. This isn't financial advice. This is just like a idea. But if I was to go long, I would go long above this purple line. So anywhere above 26,350. Let's be a little aggressive there. Anywhere above there, maybe even like right at that line. That's where I would go. Or I'm sorry, not long, short. That's where I would go short, not long. I know I said long, but that's where I would go short. If I was to go long, I would probably want to wait until, you know, we got down at least to like this close, this high of this close here. Maybe at least these highs down here, but a little bit lower for sure. But I honestly, if I was looking to go long, I would wait till we got like halfway in between this whole like price area. Really, if we were to measure it from top to bottom, the 50% mark would be right there. So I wouldn't go long on Bitcoin till about $22,000. That's my personal opinion. And if you're not convinced either way, just sit out. Just really sit out. There's no need to be in a trade if you're trading. If you guys don't know what I mean whenever I say long or short or anything like that, leave a comment. Let me know, because I could make a video explaining that stuff, or like how to get into it if you want to. And yes, I will explain the dangers. I have lost a good bit of money longing and shorting things. I've made money doing it, and I've lost money doing it. I've probably lost more money. I've definitely lost more money doing it than made more money. That's why I'm not long and short right now. I'm trying to set up a position with Bitcoin that is going to last. You know, it's going to be something to grow and like kind of build my life on. That's kind of what I'm expecting for this. And with that, I'm not going to gamble. Anywho, I'm getting a call. Anywho, I do think Bitcoin's going to go lower. There's a lot that has to happen. We are at the forefront of everything happening that needs to happen, but it's not quite there yet. So this week could be a big deal. We got 5 days, 8 hours left. If we get below this 50 level here, that would mean on the ribbon on the weekly that we are definitely below the yellow line, and on the daily, we're just going to look magnificent to the downside because we'll be in this oversold zone. You know, we're looking for all these things to happen. Oversold zone on the daily. On the weekly, we want to get below the 50 here, and we want the weekly to maintain bearish, not have a bullish cross. if you're bearish on Bitcoin. That's if you're bullish, I guess you want the opposite. You don't want any of that to happen. You want to bounce off this 50. You want the weekly to cross on the ribbon, and you would like to not go into oversold zones here. Get back above this purple line. But I just don't think, man, I don't think after all this time being sideways, there's no volume coming in. We finally get a move to the downside. I think this is what is wanted to be happening. So anyways, with that, have a good day. Thank you all. Ta-ta for now.